Hey guys, welcome to this week's track guide. Week 2 already at Sonoma. I didn't actually own this track, so I've done quite a lot of practice here this week to get up to some sort of reasonable pace to make the track guide for you guys. Quite a fun track, although it is up and down like a yo-yo. There's a couple of blind corners, a couple of blind exits, all that good stuff. So let's get straight into it. First up then guys, the weather. Track at the moment is currently 20 degrees, but earlier on when I did the laps, it was actually 22 degrees. You can see the session has been open for nearly 2 hours now. And well, there we go. Date and time set to what the official sessions are going to be set to next week. And onto the setup. A little bit different this week. 54% brake bias, minimum tyres pressures all round, stays the same. I'm currently using a 3 on the SPO and a 7 on the anti-roll bar because the track is up and down. There's a couple of curbs you might accidentally run over, and I've taken a liking recently to using this less of a stiffer setup. So we'll see if this carries on in the future weeks. Okay then guys, the lap we're going to look at is a 1:44.121. You can see I did 22 laps in this session. I did another 20-30 laps earlier in the week as well. Just the quickest one though, and probably the cleanest lap of them all. Okay, coming across the start finish line, we're going to be in 4th gear and we're going to keep it in 4th. Coming to the left here. Now the car drift out to the right hand side. I'm going to head up this hill towards turn 1 and 2, I assume. I assume this is 1 and the next one's 2. Okay, we're going to aim for this curb here. You can see I've lifted a little bit here just to make the car a little bit more stable. You'll have to lift more than this on cold tires at the start of a race. And then, so we're going to turn the car in. We're going to clip this curb here. And then as we clip the curb, we're going to straighten the car up. And then as the car comes straight, that's when we're going to brake. Basically, the brake marker is basically when you hit this curb here. Coming up, we're going to hit the curb, straighten the car, get on the brakes. We're going to drop the car down into 3rd gear. Now this next part of the corner, we're just going to coast through. You can see I'm a little bit off both at the same time here. And then I'm just going to feather the throttle through this corner. You want to be careful getting on this curb here. It's pretty... The fastest line is to use this curb. You just got to be really careful with it because the uphill and the camber of the track, it can get really slippery off this curb. And then when you get off here, then as soon as I get off there, I'm pretty much back to 100% throttle. Just got to be really careful on the exit here. I think I touched the curb here. Because you're turning the car here, if you get a back wheel on this dirt here, then you're going to spin round and you're going to be in the wall. I know, I've done that lots of times, lots of times doing practice. So just be careful on the exit here that you don't touch the dirt. Okay, we're going to keep the car in 3rd gear, bring the car to the right hand side, and then we're going to sweep it around to the left. The car at this point is going to be screaming, well, not at this point is going to be screaming to go up into 4th. Pointless. It's one of these times where you just keep it in 3rd gear because it's pointless going up to 4th to just drop it straight back down again. Okay, as we turn the car into the left, off the throttle just a little bit just to keep the car a little bit stable. There's no brakes needed through this corner. We're going to briefly go back to 100% throttle. Not for very long, just a blip. As we turn the car in, again, it's another bit of a coast around this corner. And we're going to take all this curb on the inside here. If I just go to cockpit every minute, because you can't really see this curb. You can see this little lip of the curb here. So you want to take the curb, but you don't want to be getting this front wheel on this high bit of the curb here. If you get the front wheel on the high bit of the curb, it tends to unsettle it. You want to hit the curb. You can see I've taken it a little bit there. Back to chase. You can see as it comes in, I'm trying to get as close, take as much curb as I possibly can without actually getting on the higher bit of the curb. Before driving around out on the exit, you can see I'm a little bit, what's the word? Reluctant to get back to 100% throttle. It's one of these, the exit of this corner is where you really got to be careful. and know where this outside curb is. It is, if it doesn't look it from here, but well, I suppose it does. If I go to cockpit, you will see on the exit of this corner, it's rather blind. You've got no idea where this exit apex is. So it takes a lot of laps of practice to get used to. But as you can see, we're drifting out here, and I am using all of the curb, and I've even got 2 tires in the dirt as well. But this is what you want to do. Again, you don't want to be going through that last corner too fast, because if you go through it too fast, this exit is going to come up on you really quickly, and you're going to be in this wall. Okay, down towards this next corner. I've lost count of them already. I'm going to stay in 3rd gear. The braking marker is just before we get to the end of this curb here. Cockpit. You come up towards it. Just before we get to the end of the curb. We're going to hit the brakes. We're going to drop the car in the 2nd gear. Another thing you want to note is, you can see I'm using the curb here. But by the time we get into the brake mark, by the end of it, I'm getting all 4 wheels back on the tarmac. Ready for this hard braking zone. So drop the car into 3rd gear. You can see the braking 70% there. Turning the car in. Really get tight on this inside corner here. Try not to hit that inside curb. And then really get a good exit out of this corner. Once you get this initial rotation done through this corner, to about this point, you can really get a good drive out of this corner, which is really important down this next little bit of a, I don't know, half straight, I guess. Using all this curb on the exit. Up in the 3rd gear. Up in the 4th. Keep the car tight to the right hand side of the track. You see I bring the car back over to the right hand side. We're going to go over this brow of this hill. Quite a tricky corner this is. This is probably one of the corners that I was kind of getting right, kind of not getting right. Luckily this lap I kind of nailed it. Okay, we're not going to use very much brakes. We're just going to use the brakes to just slow us down a little bit. As we get over the top of the brow of the hill, we're going to go in the 4th, off the accelerator. You see I'm using a little bit of brake here just to stabilize the entry into the corner. And then one thing you probably noticed by now is the downshift in the 3rd is really late. So, I go to the cockpit. As we come up towards it, we're going to hit the brow of the hill. We're going to come off the accelerator, brake a little bit, turn the car in, and then as we turn the car in, we're going to feather the throttle a little bit, and then when we feel that the car needs that extra little bit of rotation to get around the corner is when you drop the 3rd. Is the best way that I can explain it. So basically, staying in 4th allows us to carry a lot of speed into the corner, whereas dropping the 3rd here is going to slow the car down even more, hence you lose time. Okay, dropping the car in the 3rd, then we're just going to feather the throttle pretty much all the way through this corner. You can see 50% up to 70%, all the way through, keeping tight to the inside. And then when we get to this apex is pretty much when it's safe to get back to 100% throttle to get a good drive out. Really wide exit, no need to worry about it. You can use this curb over here, but there really shouldn't be any need to. Up in the 4th gear, bring the car back to the left hand side of the track, ready for the next double right hand corner. We're slowing it. Okay. I go to the cockpit. The brake markers, not very good from here on in, but what I've been doing as we come up towards this corner, I've been looking at these tyre barriers over here. So as we come up towards it, just as these get towards the end of my screen here, is when I start braking. Not the best brake marker in the world, but once we've done a couple of laps, I've kind of got used to it now. That's what I've been doing. We're going to drop the car into 3rd. Once more, and then we're going to drop it down into 2nd. Turn the car in. You can pretty much follow this dark rubbery patch that goes around the track here. When we get halfway through the corner is when we're going to drop it to 1st for the extra rotation. So again, similar to the last corner, We're going to come up, we're going to hit the brakes. We're going to go from 4th down into 2nd gear. Quite a hard braking zone. As we start to turn in, we come off the brakes. A little bit of trail braking into the corner here. And then halfway through the corner, we're going to drop it from 2nd down into 1st. So we're carrying the speed into this 1st corner. Here. And then when we feel we need the extra rotation of the car to get around this next corner is when you drop it down into 1st. A little further of the throttle. I'm already back to 100% there. Really early, even before, you can see we're back to 100%. Miles before the actual apex of the corner. You want to be careful on this, touching this curb on the exit. If you touch this curb or take too much of it, you get lots of wheel spin and hence you lose time down this next bit. And then getting a good drive out of the corner. Up in the 2nd. Now these next sequence of corners are all flat out. When you're on warm tyres, they're flat out anyway. And especially if you get the line right, they'll be flat out. On cold tyres, not so much. All this is flat out here. We come up the 4th gear. Keep the car to the right hand side of the track. Clip this curb here. Turn the car in for this left hand corner. Clip the curb here. It's at this point on cold tyres at the start of a race, the first couple of laps of the race, you may need to lift a little bit here. But towards the end of a race, when your tyres are nicely warmed up and you got low fuel, this corner should be flat out. All this down here is flat out once you got warm tyres, but it is a little bit of a lift on cold tyres. This corner you don't really need to worry about too much because the exit of the corner is really wide. As we come into it, it's still flat out, and then you can use all this road on the exit. You see, I haven't used any of this out here, but if you need to, you can. This that last corner shouldn't trouble you too much. Easy flat out. Okay, we're gonna go up into 5th gear, down towards this this nasty chicane. Not that I really like it. Now, again, another terrible brake marker, but it's kind of what I got used to when I've been practicing. This little kink in the road. Oh, I'm laughing to myself, it's so bad. But honestly, this is what I'm looking at on the track, and this is where I start braking. You see, as we come towards it, we hit this little kink in the road here. When we're off the accelerator and start braking. It's really, from back here, it's really difficult to see. If I just play it at full speed a minute, you'll see. We're looking at this kink here. Really difficult to see. I'm sure you guys will probably find a better brake marker. If you've got a better brake marker than me for this corner, then leave a comment down below and let me know. Because I could do something better, but really there isn't much better. You know, there's no trees to brake at, there's no lampposts. So, practice makes perfect. Okay, so, braking at the corner, we're going to go from 5th, and we're going to drop the car all the way down into 1st gear. Really hard braking zone, you can see I'm pretty much stable at 70% here. As we turn in, we're going to come off the throttle. I'm going to clip this inside curb. You want to be really careful taking this curb here. It's a higher curb than it actually looks, and if you take any more than this, the car kind of gets beached on the way through it, and then you'll end up with an off track. But as usual, the exit of this is really important. The little blip of the throttle halfway through. Lots of curb on the exit. Again, this is quite a high curb. Try not to take. You need to take this much of it. But you can see my front wheel is off the ground here, so maybe this is a little bit too much over this corner. But any more than this, then the car will get beached and you'll end up with an off track. So be careful. The exit of this chicane really comes up really quickly. So just focus on the exit and getting a good drive out down towards the last corner. Okay, we're gonna go up into 4th. Bringing the car to the left-hand side of the track. Again, not the best brake marker in the world, but I'm looking at the end of this black barrier here, And again, this little kink in the road. So if we come towards it, I'm going to hit this in line with this black barrier. And just as we get in line with it, then we're going to start braking. Again, another really heavy braking zone from 4th gear down into 1st. Turning the car in. Really tight hairpin, but not as tight as the one at Long Beach. It's a bloody nightmare. You can see I'm cutting a load of the corner here. It is surprising how much of this corner you can cut. You don't get an off track, but you will. If you cut any more than this, you don't get an off track, but you do get a slowdown, which makes no sense to me, but there we go. So just be a little bit careful. You can cut this corner a lot. You see pretty much the whole car is going over this corner. But you really can't take much more than this. Back to 100%, really focus on the exit. And then as we come down towards the start-finish line. There we have it then, guys. Week 2 at Sonoma's track guide done. Again, if this video helps you out, please remember to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Check me out on Twitch when I'm streaming 5 days a week at twitch.tv/BenEvs. Hot luck coming next, guys. Good luck with your races for the week, and I'll see you next week.
44.71. .12